There's talk of gender wars often on various YouTube channels. Men this, women that, blah, 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 blah. I think most of it is propaganda and it's blown out of proportion. However, there is a key gender issue here. And actually, I should say there's a gender health gap. Men are dying much younger than women. There's a crisis that once again isn't being televised. This revolution, unfortunately, will not be televised, and that is men's health. Men are biologically the weaker sex. And at the rate that we're going, men have lower testosterone, less vigor for life. And not only do they suffer, but society as a whole suffers. And in this video, I'm sharing a few reasons why men die younger and the most important thing that they can do to begin to shift this curve. Welcome to Executive Health. I am Julian Hayes II, founder and CEO. This is the place that we help you monitor your health so you can maintain your edge and your status while enjoying the finer things in life. And we do this through leveraging precision performance longevity. If this is your first time here, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button. Now, as I said, men are biologically the weaker sex. And when you look at life expectancy over the last century, women are increasingly outliving men. Now, this gap is present in both developing and industrialized societies, so it is definitely a worldwide issue. Men also suffer from more chronic illnesses. So you might ask yourself, okay, why are men suffering and dying earlier than women? And to no surprise, as in most things in health right now, despite what anyone may tell you, there is no panacea. There is no single answer that can fit perfectly inside a box that answers this question. Now, there are a slew of other things such as biological, societal, environmental, and behavioral factors at play that is definitely playing a part with men's health. Now, let's get the obvious one out of the way. Men take more risk. Men live life harder. Of course we do. We're men. Now, we underestimate risk a lot of times. We suppress our emotions and we're much more impulsive. Once again, this is part of being a man. And I love every part of it. We protect and provide, and sometimes danger or accidents follow. Once again, this is part of being a man. And plus, also, I think, though, as a man, we crave adventure more. I mean, I think about this. And last night, I went on a rabbit hole and I found that there's marathons near volcanoes and there's a marathon in Antarctica. And this is increasingly sounding like a good idea. But anyway, I digress, but that fits the adventure thing that I just mentioned. Now, there's a biological explanation for why us men act this way, and we can blame this on our frontal lobe. So if you have an argument today with any woman or any person, just tell them it's my frontal lobe that makes me do what I do. Now, the frontal lobe, this is the part that controls judgment and consideration for our actions and our consequences. This develops much more slowly in us, boys and young men, than women. Now, there's a stereotype out there that says women mature quicker than men, and to a certain extent, I believe this, which is why perhaps you see a lot of times that older men date younger women most of the time. Sometimes it's the other way, but you get what I'm saying. Now, and I believe this to a certain extent because when I think back now, I wasn't a douchey person at 25, 26. I was inconsiderate and I was much more of a selfish person. And I thought the world revolved around me. Now, some of that is probably granted to me being an only child a little bit. That's what we call OC syndrome. But nevertheless, my brain wasn't fully developed then. And so I did some crazy things, which is why I'm glad social media was not like it is now, because it allowed me to make mistakes without being taken to the woodshed and having everybody look at me. But anyway, getting off topic a little bit. Nevertheless, though, this may be a reason why more boys and men die in accidents or violence than girls and women. And I will also add that there's an amygdala component as well when it comes to the violence portion as well. Now, this also explains why the type of jobs that men have and that we gravitate toward. Men far outnumber women in some of the riskiest occupations. Now, the next point here is a big one, and this is cardiovascular disease. This hits close to home. This is something that my father had, something that my grandfather also had. Now, heart disease is the leading cause of death for men in the United States, according to the CDC. It's killing over 380,000 men in 2020. Now, speaking of the CDC, I actually trust this stat here. Some of the other ones, it's a little bit iffy. That's a whole nother topic on itself. Now, compared to women, men are 50% more likely to die of heart disease. Now, why is this? Why this is the case is unknown. And as I was just reading a little bit on it, it's of course you can say diet and lifestyle, but there has to be something more. And now there is a little tidbit here that men are 50% less likely than women to maintain a healthy diet that's high in fruits and vegetables. But another possible explanation could be related to the hormone estrogen. And estrogen has protective effects against cardiovascular disease. And men have much lower levels compared to women. Now, before you think, and don't go pump yourself full of estrogen, don't do that. No. But this is just one of those things where we think genetically this may be one of the things as well. But once again, though, this issue is unknown regarding why. And I think this is fascinating why health is so interesting, because there's so many things that need to be answered. So another issue here comes down to mental health. This is the elephant in the room that no one's really going to mention. This is something that I also suffered from, and I've done therapy for this very reason. And women are more likely to experience depression and suicidal thoughts. However, men are much more likely to take their own lives and follow through with those ideations and those thoughts. Now, in the U.S. alone, approximately 4 in 5 suicides are men. Suicide is a highly sensitive and complex issue. There's so many causes that we may never fully understand the reasons behind it. It is truly one of those things that so many things play a part in it. And I will say that if you are ever feeling in a space where this comes up, or you just start to experience these really depressive symptoms or anything like that, and you feel like you're on the island and there's no one there, please seek out help. Please, 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 please seek out help. There are various hotlines and services available, and I promise you, they are helpful. I've used some of them before, so they are helpful. Now, a key element to the high suicide rates among men is most likely due to societal and cultural pressures that are placed on us, right? And rightfully so. We're men. There are certain things that come with being a man, and I think that we should never shy away from that. Now, women are. But here's the thing, though, and this is something that I struggle with myself. Women are much better at relationships and staying in touch with people, having that sisterhood and having that network to rely on and to help you through those times. Men, a lot of times, we're lone wolves. We, brotherhood, yeah, whatever. You don't want to go to each other talking about, I'm struggling with this and everything, because you don't want to be perceived as weak. And I understand that. But there's a difference between being a victim and complaining. And then there's a difference between saying, hey, man, I'm going through a tough time. And then you get some solutions and everything. Two totally different scenarios. Now, loneliness can literally age you. And I recorded an episode a long time ago on loneliness and the science behind it. But it's a big predictor of rapidly aging. It's a big predictor when it comes to our health span and our lifespan. Now, I think about widows and how women tend to do better in this department than men when it comes to losing a spouse. But on top of the daily responsibilities of being a man, this channel is executive health. So I speak to a lot of entrepreneurs and executives, and that's who I consult with. So it's even more compounded in this arena, because by signing up to be an entrepreneur and moving up and you're an executive, you have agreed to an implicit clause that maybe you didn't know about that includes potential depression, loneliness, burnout, stress, and unintentional alienation of your most important relationships because they just don't get you, or you're just too much, you work too much, and add the list on there. Now, one of the biggest mistakes that entrepreneurs make, especially when nothing is going their way, and I'll raise my hand for that, I've definitely done that, is living on an island, isolating yourself from the world. And you isolate yourself because this is how you're going to solve your problems. But as you can expect, and as I learned the hard way, isolation isn't the solution, especially when you're emotionally compromised. Instead, what's going to happen, you're likely to compound frustration because you're unable to see the big picture. Now, if you find your world becoming smaller, you find it caving inward, seek out help, seek out accountability, and find some support. It is critical. Now, another issue is avoiding all types of health experts. I was just going to add doctors, but in 2022, there's so many different types of health experts that are awesome and that are valuable and that can really help people. So, but for the sake of this study, we'll stick to the medical, the MDs, the DOs out there. A study conducted by the insurance company Aflac in 2021 surveyed 1,000 men in the US that are over the age of 18. And they found that 45% of men have not visited a family doctor for an annual checkup. And 3/4 had not gone to the doctors, even if they had symptoms of a specific illness. Doctors are not a panacea, not by any means. Especially after, if I'm being quite honest, especially after the last few years, they're definitely not a panacea because I was quite disappointed with some of the things I saw. Now, they don't have all the answers, but they do have a vital role still in giving you at least a general big picture as to what's going on with your health. They still serve a purpose with that. So even if you're afraid to go to them, find somebody still then that you can get a big picture overview of what's going on with your health. Now, I laid out a lot of problems and what's a solution that we can do. And before anything else, I should say, there isn't one universal answer that will solve everything. This issue is complex. This is what makes men. It's complex things, different. There's a lot of things we don't understand. But I will say, though, there is something very easily that we can do, each and every one of us, no matter your socioeconomic status at this very moment, no matter what's going on right now. You can start to take health into your own hands. You can make a decision starting right now to be proactive, not reactive. You can realize, I want you to realize that optimal health is an advantage in business and life. It is such a competitive advantage. It is such a treasure to have optimal health, to continually strive for that. Because your health is not just for you. This is what I realized in my 30s compared to my 20s. It's not just about looking good in the mirror. I enjoy doing some of the magazine shoots, and I enjoyed walking down a runway a little bit in swimwear. That was very cool. But there's a bigger picture. It's not just for you. It's about being there for your family as the best possible version of yourself. And take it from me. When that doesn't happen and it's an emotionally taxing thing that affects everyone. When it's someone who maybe doesn't have as good as health or didn't take as good care of their health, and now they're dealing with the repercussions later down the line, it's emotionally taxing. So I want you to take a proactive approach. Don't look at this as a place, don't come from a place of fear. Come from a place of empowerment, that you have control. Whatever happened yesterday, it can change starting right now with that decision. So take the proactive approach that allows you to set yourself up for success in the future. I want you to test, don't guess. There are so many valuable tools now in health, and there's many more incoming. I just received in the mail, it just arrived here from FedEx, that a cutting edge blood test to check a critical biomarker that's associated with aging. So I'm interested in trying it out, interested in measuring it and in reporting back. And if I like it enough, I'm going to add that to the arsenal belt when it comes to serving clients and people. Now, there's impressive whole body MRI scans now that can help you proactively take care of your health. There's so many different tests that you can get clues now to how your body's operating for things that, if left unaddressed, wouldn't even show up for like 7 to 8 years. But now you've taken care of it 7 to 8 years ahead of time. So it did become a bigger problem. That's powerful. And there's glucose monitoring now, continuous glucose monitoring. The options are endless. I know some will say these are expensive, these cost money, blah, 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 blah. Everything's going to cost you something. You're paying one way or the other. You're paying now or you're going to pay later. And it's better to pay now than to deal with the compounding interest later down the road. So I would do everything I can right now to pay. Now, we can't control everything, but there is a lot that we can control. And trust me, like I said, as I had the big picture, The other option is much more expensive. So until next time, stay awesome, be limitless. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out, Julian at executivehealth.io. If you're interested in becoming a concierge client, Julian at executivehealth.io, or head to the website, executivehealth.io. Stay awesome, be limitless. Once again, go be the CEO of your health and your life. Peace.